everyone, and welcome back to Wildberry Island and another absolutely beautiful day of flower picking! That's right, we are going to have another Q&A special because I still have so much work to do on this island. I could have sworn that I gathered up plenty of these flowers, but as you can see, there are still a ton of them all over the place that we need to go ahead and collect, and we need to like smooth out this sand. Julian, good morning! Okay, Julian, we haven't started the Q&A yet, so I'm gonna tackle you, give you a hug, and ask you how your day is. Buongiorno, Butterbean. I've been brushing up on my Spanish lately since we last met up. That's wonderful. You look like you're ready to like go to a business meeting, Julian. Or is that just today's like, what do they call it? Outfit of the day? People use that weird hashtag, and for a long time I had no idea what it meant. It apparently means outfit of the day. So, what say you, Julian? Oh, you're trying to show off for Larabelle, I see. Looking for a rap session with old Julian, eh? How you doing? You know, some folks pretend that they don't like to gossip. Huh, I'm up front. I love gossip. So, I heard this from someone on Wildberry. Word on the street is that you've crazy skills when it comes to bird watching. Indeed I do. Don't tell Cranston, it might creep him out a little bit. Is that true, Gemstone? Absolutely. Yeah, I can't see a future for myself in bird watching. I'm gonna stick to what I know best, personal branding. Alright, I have a feeling he has an appointment with Larabelle down there, so we'll leave them be. But welcome back, friends! So as last time, this is also going to be a special episode where we are actually going to be working on cleaning up the island, and while I'm doing that background work, answering some Q&A questions! We have a huge list of Q&A questions from our patrons and our Twitch subscribers over on our Patreon and Twitch Discord, and we also have a few questions from all of you in the comments of the last video. I was so freaking tickled. You guys, I was so happy that you were so curious about the Q&A and we got a chance to talk. I have always just been obsessed about those moments where you get to really know somebody better, and I've always loved Q&As that other creators that I really enjoy do because I want that insight into what is going on in their life. I want to feel like they're a human being and not just some perfect like creating machine, and especially when they talk about their creativity, it just gets me so excited, and I am so happy that it got you guys so excited too. So today I'm going to be answering more of those questions, carrying on with another Q&A special. Just to remind you guys, we do have two playlists linked down below. One will be to the series that we're currently recording for our Q&As, which in this case, as you can see, is Animal Crossing. Ta-da! And then another will be to the series that will have the actual series Q&A episodes, because I have a feeling these will probably be kind of regular because they're very relaxing for me. Hopefully they'll be very relaxing for you guys. They give me a chance to like do some of the important background work of maintaining the worlds that we share together in all of our adventures, and I just love seeing your curiosity expressed through the questions that you ask, because when you ask somebody a question, the question that you give them actually tells them a lot about you. So keep those questions coming, guys. A lot of these are going to be from our Patreon and our Twitch Discord as a special thank you to the amazing people who help our Discord or help our whole channel out and keep this whole place going. I am so freaking grateful to all of them, but I will be plucking a few from the comment section as well so we can just get a little insight into what all of you guys are thinking. But alright, so that is what we're going to be working on today. I still have a whole bunch of flowers to go ahead and sell, and I actually want to go ahead and put back on my everyday types. There we go, that's really cute. And I am ready to clean this island up because we have a lot of flowers, and thankfully we have a lot of questions. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're actually going to start off with some easy questions that are a little older, and then we're going to move into some of the fresh new questions that our patrons have asked after the first episode, because I have a whole big pile of old questions that have been stacking up for a long time, but I also want to keep it fresh, so we'll try to answer the new questions as well. Anyway, that being said, we'll start with some fun, easy ones. One from Lord of Thunder. A bit random, what time period is your favorite? Cretaceous, Jurassic, or Triassic? Okay, so that's about dinosaurs, and I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. I don't really know a lot about prehistoric timelines. The closest I've come to really... Oh, no, my shovel! I need that for scooping flowers! Sorry about that. In the Q&As, I try to focus on just getting done like the task at hand in the background and answering questions, but I'm really excited to be back in Animal Crossing today. So this is low-key really helping me get excited to return to Animal Crossing. That's a really, really good thing. But, all right, so I'm gonna be honest, I actually don't focus that much on prehistory. I've never really been into dinosaurs. Playing a lot of the games that we have actually had, careful for there, don't step on comment. But playing a lot of the games that we have had and exploring all of the different dinosaurs and the fascinating facts about prehistory in our Pixel Biology channel has actually helped me more than anything else get into prehistory. And there's a couple answers for that are a little complicated. The first answer is, well, I guess not that complicated, but I just haven't ever really been into studying prehistoric animals for the reason that we have so many animals who need help right now. And I just remember being really, really little, and I would be reading the World Wildlife Foundation's books that would explain to you how important it was to really protect the creatures who are currently existing, how they like needed our help. Oh, my pockets are full of curses. How they needed our help. And so in my mind, I've always just been really, really focused on trying to like pay attention to like pandas and other animals who really need our protection at the moment. And as a result, I've just never been really, really into dinosaurs because they're already gone. And I'm over here jumping up and down going, but what about the giant salamander? So that's kind of an overview for why I've never been like super, super into dinosaurs. However, that has really changed with playing all of the games we have and kind of getting a new view of prehistory, especially sauropods. I have really learned to love the long necks, probably because of Land Before Time. That's definitely where the idea came from, of really falling in love with sauropods and really falling in love with the idea of dinosaurs. And then, gosh, yeah, that's probably where I started to think that dinosaurs are pretty cool. And then just playing all the games that we have really helped me fall in love with dinos too. But I'm not one of those people who can name the different periods of prehistory. And again, that's not because I don't care. It's just because for most of my life, I have been too worried about the melting ice caps and wanting to make sure that the animals that we have now are really appreciated while we have them and protected while we have them. So that's been very important to me my whole life. And it's also why, let's see, let's go ahead and carefully wiggle out of here. Don't want to step on our little friend. And it's also why I can't just rattle off like the prehistoric eras off the top of my head, because I'm just so worried. Like, come on, we've got penguins to think about, people, polar bears. I mean, even songbirds whose populations are down by 60% in the last 20 years. So you can see where I get a little distracted by the animals that we do have already around. But the other reason, and this is going to be kind of controversial, which is why I've been building up to it. I've been trying to get my courage to say this. The other reason that I don't really know my dinosaur eras is because dinosaur people, the dinosaur fandom can be really scary when you mispronounce things. That's the truth of it. I was dragging my feet admitting it, but one of the other reasons I don't know my dinosaur timelines is because people can be so mean if you don't know the proper way to pronounce things. And because I have just a touch of dyslexia, it's really tricky for me to pronounce things correctly, as you guys know by now. And I just trip over my words all the time. And so when I was younger, there would be people like in my class when we would be studying things like dinosaurs who were so proud that they knew how to say the proper names for dinosaurs and like describe the eras, that if you tried to be like, oh, that's a really cool oh, what's a good one? What's the flapper? The big flappy boy. That's not even like a dinosaur, I think. The pterodactyl, if you said pterodactyl because you pronounced the P, those people would be all over you like Julian on a very fancy cell at an extremely expensive clothing store. And as a result, like, I just was too scared, because what happens when you're really into something and you're really proud about your knowledge and then you like jump on other people and flout your knowledge really aggressively is you can scare them off of something for like ever. And that's what happened. I got scared off of dinosaurs because I couldn't pronounce things, and I mention that because it still happens. It still happens. I am almost 33 years old. I am gonna turn 33 next month, and I still have people jumping around in the comments who are like, how dare you mispronounce this like ancient Cretaceous era animal that only like you've never heard spoken, and it only exists in a bunch of like letters or on a screen to you, and you've never even heard someone say this name. I still have people jump on me about that. So as a result, dinosaurs scare me, not because of Jurassic Park, but because of the fandom. This is a life lesson, I hope, for people who are a little over-aggressive in their fandoms to maybe consider the consequences that happen when you're so proud about the things that you know. And I have done that in my life before, where you kind of flout the things that you know in someone's face, because you have a moment of feeling super proud about it and being like, I know how to pronounce this and they don't. Ho ho ho. And then that little moment of being able to rub it in someone's face by being like, actually, it's pronounced like this. Just makes them feel like, wow, now I feel really dumb. Why would I want to get into that? You don't want that. You want people to share your passions. You want people to share your curiosity. And one of the most unimportant and uninteresting things about the amazing animals we share the world with, and the creatures we shared, or that had this planet before us, actually, we never shared it with them. They had it millions of years before us, is like not their name. The most fascinating, amazing things about them is not how to pronounce their name. Ergo, like, don't be bad in your fandoms. I could go on and on and on about the dangers of toxic fandoms that I've learned over time. And I think at the end of the day, just the basic truth of it is that you don't want to chase people out from a place that you really love. Because all of a sudden, one day you're going to look up, and instead of feeling like the expert in the field, or like you're more dedicated and you're more passionate, so you deserve to be able to show that off to everybody that you care more than they do, because you can pronounce these things right, or remember all of the songs that this band has made, or remember all of those details from that book. One day you're gonna look around and you're actually gonna be really lonely if you chase people out of your little fandom for simple things like mispronouncing or not knowing a little fact or detail. And I think that's such a pity, because then people are going to miss out on the true essence of what is so amazing about what you love. So don't chase people away from what you love by like flouting your knowledge around. And I think we'll all be better off for it, because we'll be able to share an understanding of the passions that really make someone tick. So, wow, that went a lot deeper, and that wasn't as simple a question to answer as I thought. I guess dinosaurs are a little bit of a trigger point for me, but not in a bad way. There's something I want to be able to approach and learn to really love. So anyway, sorry about that, Lord of Thunder. Didn't expect that to go so deep, but hopefully it was some wise words that will help some people out. Let's move on to Ashley. Ashley Cloud, you say, I'm gonna go classic with this. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? Also, hi. And Ashley, hi. And look, I'm gonna go classic with this too. I could try to pretend it would be something else, but it's not. It's plants. I would want to be able to grow like any plant, basically. I think that would be really amazing. If I could just like touch my hands to the ground and like spur a seed to soak up its nutrients and flourish, I think that would be so cool. I've thought like maybe I would use that power to like try to end world hunger. Maybe I would just use it to have a beautiful garden with my husband, and that we would be able to always have our plants flourish. But I think that nothing else can reliably, other than my beloved husband Chips and birds, I don't think there's anything in this world that makes me smile as reliably and consistently as being able to look at a flower blooming. And that's something that Chips actually said one day to me, and I thought was really sweet and kind of romantic and very insightful, is he told me that he wishes that he can find something as inspiring to him as flowers are for me, because we can go anywhere in the world. I could be scared out of my mind because I don't speak the language in this country. I have no idea what's going on. And if I see a pretty flower, my whole moment is fine and happy. And I just smile and I am wrapped up in it. And basically, there's also a quote from one of my favorite Buddhist, Buddhist teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, who says the dandelion holds my smile. And I think that's really a beautiful saying, the idea that the dandelion holds my smile. Because sometimes you wonder, where can I find my smile? Where can I find my joy? And for me, there's something very, very, very powerful in being able to find my joy in simple things like a dandelion or flowers. And if I had the ability to just push my hands into the ground and call forth plants and let them flourish in front of me, then I would always be able to like have that power of finding my smile. And I think that that's something very important that we all need to learn how to do. Now the trick is I don't need superpowers to do that, because I can do that right now just by looking around at any of the plants, any of the birds that happen to be around me anywhere in the world, and I find my smile. So actually I guess I don't need superpowers for that, because the world is already fulfilling that superpower dream of providing me with all of the plants I could look at and the birds that I could watch. So gosh, if I had another superpower, not flight, because even though flying would be amazing, I am terrified of heights and I can't even look over the balcony on our like 3rd story apartment we have without feeling faint. So I wonder if somebody like would ever in a superhero story gets the power of flight, but they have to spend forever learning how to use it because they actually have like a fear of flights, and as a result they faint if they go too high. You could break like all your arms, because apparently last time I said like you could break all your arms and you guys are like, Siri, you only have 2 arms. Well, I'm gonna say it again because I guess it got y'all so excited. You could break all your arms if you had the power of flight and you were also afraid of heights. So not flying. Maybe something to do with empathy. That would be really nice. Maybe something to do with empathy so that maybe I could help smooth out when people are feeling upset and the ruffles could just go out of the strain and stress in their life. But again, you can do that with kind words. I guess we all have superpowers. You know what, Ashley? That's gonna be my verdict, is I guess we all have superpowers. We have the power of empathy to imagine what it would be like to be an animal. I guess some people would actually want to become those animals, but gosh, wow. You know what? Anything that I think of, I actually think is in its own way already in existence that we could do for superpowers. So what would you guys do? Maybe I'm just not imagining hard enough, or maybe my imagination just includes human ingenuity and creativity. So I'm kind of in the mood to just be like, we all have superpowers. Wow, I'm feeling deep today, and I said these were going to be the easy questions. What? All right, this is an easy question. Raven Silversea, thank you so much for asking me something that I can answer quickly and smoothly. What is your favorite color and why? The answer is actually green. I just love the color green. And I actually think that that is a biologically programmed aspect of my life too, because we are wired to really respond very well neurologically to being surrounded with the color green. Different shades of green, leaves. It's a very natural setting for a reason, because it's the natural setting of our brain as well. So I really do love the color green. And I guess, yeah, that answers the why. It's my favorite color, and I often think it's because we're just wired and we need it. There's a book I've been meaning to read for a long time now called Vitamin N, and it's all about how you actually need to be part of nature. And did you guys know that there is actually a very important little bacteria that is released from soil after the rain that helps our immune system, our gut system, and helps us to regulate a whole bunch of the things in our brain that have to do with emotion and joy. And that's really important, and we're kind of meant to be synced up with the outdoors is what I'm saying. Like to the point where we're wired to feel better after it rains and the soil has become wet and it has released these bacteria, because these bacteria will actually help us to regulate like our immune, like everything, like our gut, our immune system, like how we process serotonin and get all the feel-good mental balance hormones going in our life. So I guess that's why I love the color green. Because if you're out in the greenery, you might be able to get a good old face full of good bacteria and joy and just really reset all of the hormones that you've got going on in your brain. And it's been raining at where I live, so maybe I should go ahead and like open the window now, get some of those good bacteria going. But alright, so there's another answer. Gosh, that didn't go where I thought it would. What is with me today? Alright, and then T, if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? I'm gonna say this is a tie between my two favorite foods right now. Oranges, which I love with a burning passion, and it's currently sumo orange season, so Chips and I are flourishing and enjoying eating a lot of sumo oranges right now. And my steel-cut oatmeal, which is my new favorite meal. And I guess technically it isn't one food because it's steel-cut oats cooked in almond milk, and then I add in cinnamon. I put in some flax seeds, some chia seeds, a lot of frozen blueberries, some frozen strawberries, some frozen blackberries, and then I sprinkle some crushed walnuts on top. And that is my absolute favorite meal right now. It's so filling. It actually covers like 2 meals for the day because it's got just so much fiber in it and so many yummy good things. I love it. So I eat it for like breakfast and lunch lately. So if I had to pick, I mean, and that's so satisfying. Like, how nice is it to know that, like, oh, this food I just ate covers 2 whole meals. Yes! Now I can go create more adventures and be full and happy and full of good nutrition and, like, good things for all of my inside bacteria and everything else. I've been reading a lot of books about gut bacteria lately. That's why I'm on, like, talking all about it. But that would be the food that I would want to stick to. Or it would be oranges, because oranges are so yummy. And both of those are really good for you foods as well. So then I would know I was getting at least some nutrition. But you really need a lot of diversity in your diet, especially like plant diversity. So I hope I'm never limited to eating just one food, because I need a lot of them. I've even been eating raw flowers on top of my salad lately. That's where I have gone. Chips gives me the biggest side eye about it, but I have been enjoying these edible flowers that we've been getting in our little CSA box from a farm. And I had pansies on my super salad last night, and it was delicious. Look over here. Look over here. We're all gonna eat a whole bunch of delicious flowers. All right, so let's go ahead and answer the next question. Apparently I'm in a really silly mood today, so don't mind me. And Blazequakes, you ask, out of all the Sims you've made over the years, which one is the most memorable? And which ZooCrafting moment or episode is your favorite? So, the most memorable Sim is gonna have to be just Evelyn Eureka. If you want to go see her, guys, check out the very, very first episodes that we've ever had on our channel. It's easiest to find those by going to the playlist and going to my earliest playlist for the series Sims that we had. But Evelyn, I mean, come on, she was a plant sim. She was a scientist that I put down to start a legacy in the middle of nowhere. And then she became a plant sim when she was trying to spray for bugs and get rid of all of the pests in her garden. And from there, she ended up meeting her husband. We had Evelyn, and I think it was Evander. We met her husband Evander, who was a townie who showed up, and then we went ahead and they had triplets, and they lived in like a giant greenhouse. So Evelyn, she was again one of the roots of how we ended up having the Series Sims channel. because I got so into her story. So she will always have a special place in my heart. However, I do really, really love the Sims that we have in Sims 4 as well, but I didn't create them other than making Lily and Tate all that time ago. The Sims we have in Sims 4 are mostly like the children that we've had. So a lot of the Sims that I really, really love, oh my gosh, we have a whole new villager here. We'll have to deal with that later. But a lot of the Sims that I have really fallen in love with are not Sims that I purposely made. They're Sims whose story I watched evolve because they became part of our families. They were born into our Sims families. We watched them grow up. We watched their personalities be shaped by a combination of random generators that I use to get personalities. And then also just watching their lives unfold. And that's just, I love that. I love that so much. That's my favorite thing about Sims, is being able to watch the legacy of a family emerge and watch these stories and these characters that you saw as little babies actually bring on like who they're going to be into the world and become characters themselves. So that's definitely very high up there as one of my favorite things about Sims. Yeah, and that's why I never really made a Sim that I fell in love with as much as... We're just gonna buy a colorful shovel. So we can just go ahead. No, we'll buy it. Yes, thank you, boys. Thank you. As much as I have fallen in love with the ones that have joined us for the journey. And then when it comes to my favorite ZooCrafting moment, this is kind of poetic, but I don't really have a specific like moment or episode where I was like, yeah, this is my favorite. This is absolutely what makes it like ZooCrafting so amazing. I actually love the most in ZooCrafting the moments where I feel totally immersed in that world, where I feel like I'm part of that world. Because I show up so often, because we're there day after day and taking care of things. What I miss about the old episodes of ZooCrafting is that I was there every day and feeling like I was so immersed in what I was doing, I could mentally like imagine running through all of the halls. I knew where things were in my chest, not because it felt like a game, but because it felt like a second life, a second home. And so for me, my favorite moments of ZooCrafting are not a specific episode. It's the culmination of having been there and having transformed the world of blocks into what felt like a home that I could run around in and feel at home in. So that's my favorite thing about ZooCrafting. Though if you guys have a favorite moment, I would love to hear it because that would be very special to me. All right, and then we have a question from Heartland 2020. Besides giraffes, do you have a second favorite animal species and why? And animal species? Ooh, I mean, I have definitely birds are my like general go-to for favorites, but my second favorite that will always get me ridiculously excited is the Crown Victoria pigeon. And I actually found out about Crown Victoria pigeons when I used to play on a text-based RPG form. And I was going to have a pet store that I ran there, and I was looking up cool pets that I could sell. And this was on a RPG form that was based around Harvest Moon. So you're trying to find kind of animals that you could put like in a coop or something. And I discovered the Crown Victoria pigeon, one of the largest pigeon species, if not the largest, I can't remember, in the world. It is basically like an iridescent rainbow and a pigeon met, and then add in a little bit of a peacock, and then give it a little mohawk. Look it up. They're so beautiful. So that would be my second favorite animal species, is the Crown Victoria pigeon. It's so pretty, and I need to share that vlog I have with you guys. I haven't shared it yet. When Chips and I went to the zoo way over a year ago now. Holy cow. It's been over a year since I've seen a giraffe in person, guys. I don't know how I'm coping. But I need to find that and share it with y'all because I got to see a baby Crown Victoria pigeon following its parents around begging for food at the North Carolina aviary at the zoo. And it was so cute because it basically just looked like a scragglier adult version, and the adults were all busy eating leaves, and the baby was just like trying to pull the leaves out of their beaks, like, feed the baby, feed me, don't steal my food. And it was really precious. So I'll have to find that video and share it with y'all soon. Also, I got to pet one when we went to the San Diego Zoo, and that really freaking made my day. I was so happy. And then, let's see. Oh, Heartland, you also ask, have you ever traveled abroad? And if so, where have you been? If not, where would you like to go in the future if you're able to? And yes, I have. Oh my goodness, Heartland. If you want to check out some of the previous vlogs that we actually have here on the channel, you can find a whole bunch of videos of me, gosh, let's see. I think I have some with the... Do I have some videos of me with the puffins in Iceland? Maybe, maybe not. But you can find videos here as well as on my vlog channel, which is linked on our main channel page. I haven't updated it in a long time, but maybe one day I will, especially if Chips and I get a chance to travel again. But I have been abroad just a few times. I actually was not able to travel a lot when I was a kid because our family just could not afford that. Most of my traveling has been after I became Siri and after I moved in with Chips and we had the opportunities. My first ever time traveling abroad was for Chips's work, actually. He had to go to Taiwan to do some foreign language studies. And so we ended up going to Taiwan together and we lived in Taiwan for 3 months. And you can find a lot of vlogs of what feels like baby Siri at this point, because it was like 4 years ago. But you can find a lot of vlogs about that experience over on the vlog channel, and it was really amazing. I loved it in Taiwan. I don't speak any Chinese at all. My Japanese is the most rusty, like a beginner level that it could be, because it's like leftover high school Japanese. But you could get around just fine in Taiwan because like the second language is English, so everything is in English, and everyone was so friendly. Every time we were a little bit lost or confused and perplexed for more than like 2 seconds, somebody would walk up and ask in like perfect English, "So do you need any help?" So I didn't have any time to like feel a lot of culture shock because there were always like really nice people around who were willing to help, and also Chips is extremely fluent in Chinese, so that really helps. So that was my first time going abroad. And then we went abroad to London actually for Chips's birthday a few years ago as a huge treat. A bunch of our friends went as an annual like friend get together that we're trying to do and occasionally go abroad before we all like, well, not Chips and I, but before they all end up having kids. And we're not able to do something like that anymore. Now that we're all in our 30s and like more established in our careers, we just thought it would be really fun to be able to take advantage of being able to travel while we can. And so we went to London and we had a really great time in London. We popped over to Bath for a little bit, we saw Stonehenge, and we spent so many days at one of Chips's favorite places in the entire world, the British Museum. And I have to tell you guys, if you ever want to have a really good time, take a passionate historian to a really high quality museum and you will be entertained all day long. You will move at a snail's pace and you will love it because everything that you look at will have so much more of a story behind it. Just like I love looking at every single plant and animal in the world, even the geology, the way that the planet is currently shaped, and getting so excited and so pumped about it because holy cow, it's freaking life and it's amazing. And with a biology background, I can tell you so many stories about the web of life and how this came to that, and we ended up with like a Gouldian finch, or how trees draw up water using like the cohesion that water has with itself all the way to the tippy tops of the trees. I could tell you about how like robins nest, and that makes really normal things out there in the world fascinating and beautiful, right? Well, with Chips, when we go to a museum, and museums are terrible about advertising how amazing the things are in them. They have this boring little plaque, and if you're lucky, a very boring audio tour that tells you the obvious. Like when you look at an item, they're like, this is a flower. It is yellow. And it doesn't tell you anything about how that flower like had to be brought over the Himalayan mountains for some sort of queen's birthday because she like was getting a gift from a foreign king in hopes of staving off her elephant army or something like that. Like, you know, you miss the whole really cool story because museums are just really bad at presenting that. And there's a lot of complicated reasons for that, but the bottom line is, if you go with a historian who has no qualms about telling you the really, really cool reasons that this item is really, really cool, you will move at a snail's pace in the museum, and you will be floored. You will be awed with the wonders of what people can do, with the wonders of the history that we share, like, on the planet as a whole. And that is my experience in London, basically. A lot of delicious vegan food, because London is actually the home of veganism, where the phrase vegan and the idea of veganism as the movement that it is showed up. And what is this little beetle? It's pushing the thing, you guys, we gotta catch it. Oh my gosh, no, Siri, don't break character while you're... Catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it. Yes! I love it. Alright, this guy's really cool. Oh my gosh, it's a dung beetle, and it's pushing around a snowball. Okay, that's really cute. We're gonna go ahead and put him out. Robin, enjoy. He's got a little ball of dung! Oh, I'm so glad he'll be entertained. But that was my, like, yeah, London. I love the pigeons. I loved, the architecture we saw. The lines were so big. Oh my goodness. I didn't love the lines. I love the swans. I loved Hyde Park. We spent a lot of time in Hyde Park just walking around it and watching people. I really loved the vegan food we did find. My favorite was definitely at Wolf and Hound. Like, I wish we had eaten more there because that was delicious. There was a ton of just great little vegan shops. Like, we could go with our friends who aren't vegan and we all could find something amazing to eat, even when we took them to just 100% vegan places. So we had a really good time in London. I wish we had been able to visit Bath for longer than like the 45 minutes of being on a tour. So Chips and I know, like, next time we go, when we can go again, and there will be a next time, one day in the future, we will definitely be trying to spend some of our own time in Bath because it was just so cool. And again, it's a historic place, and being there with a historian just makes it 800 times even better. And we also, on that particular trip, went home through Iceland. So we left London and then we landed in Iceland for 18 hours. We slept at a hotel, and then Chips drove us 4 hours down the highway in Iceland so that I could climb a cliff and stare at puffins out in the wild. And I was so in love. I was so in love. They were so quiet. We were walking up the shore where we had just seen on TripAdvisor, people had advertised seeing puffins like the day before. And so we were frantically trying to figure out where on the entire country of Iceland, which is like not terribly big, but still we only had a few hours before we had to leave for the plane. We were desperately trying to figure out where we could find some puffins. And lo and behold, we walked up this huge cliff. It was complete silence except for like one seagull that was nearby. And we were feeling really defeated because birds are noisy. So we were like, oh no, the puffins aren't here. And we had to leave like as soon as we finished looking around this area for them. We got to the top of this beautiful mossy cliff on these black rocks. And then, lo and behold, friends, there were the puffins. They were completely silent. I think normally they can be kind of noisy, but they had just decided that day they weren't going to be chattery. And we spent so long looking at them. It was so delightful. And we learned puffins, when they land so gracelessly. They basically just collide into the moss under them instead of landing like a lot of birds do with a little bit more grace. So we really fell in love with the puffins. But those were our opportunities so far to go abroad, and we are hoping to be able to travel abroad a lot more. We've actually talked about, pre-pandemic, We talked about becoming digital nomads, where we would put all of our stuff in storage. I would get a really high quality laptop to be able to record videos on, and we would basically have a couple of bags that we would live out of, and then we would just travel. Like, go to Italy, because he really wants to go to Italy, and knowing my husband, that means he's going to turn around and know Italian in 3 weeks. Like, he has 5 languages. He just picks them up like a sponge. Well, I lie. He doesn't pick them up like a sponge. He spends hours and hours of hard work every day to, like, practice the language skills. Or, like, go to Japan and try living there for a few months, maybe a year. We do want to travel abroad a lot more, and that may be the next evolution that you guys may see of some of our stories together. We may end up just, like, becoming, like, we may go on the vlog channel and we'll still have all of our adventures here as Pixel Biologist, but you guys also might join me as Chips and I begin to explore the whole world together and see what the world has to offer. And man, whew, that would be really exciting. That's probably, if it would be safe to travel again, that is something that I would like to do with my life. It's either that or maybe start a tiny homestead in the Appalachian Mountains. And then you guys can join us on the vlogs as I have a tiny homestead in the Appalachian Mountains. Also, let's keep the white roses for winter because I think that would be really good. All right, so yeah, wow, holy heck. I have not gotten through as many of these questions as I thought I would, but let's keep going for a little bit more. And then, have there been any adventures you wish you hadn't started on your channel because you found you couldn't get into them or you stopped enjoying them quicker than anticipated? If so, what do you do? And Heartland, yes. There have been many games where I started to play it and I was like, whoa, never mind. And there's been some games where I really wanted to get into it. I just didn't have the time. I just wasn't feeling it. They just did really badly on the channel. The least likely reason for me stopping a game, like stopping recording something, is not going to be because it wasn't very popular. Because if you guys notice, I try really hard to be very honest about if I'm enjoying something, I'm just going to record it. And that's because you would not get to like 9,200 videos, which is what we're at right now, if you only recorded what was popular, because you're going to really burn out fast. You're going to feel exhausted trying to keep up with the numbers. You're going to have to shove yourself out of worlds that you really enjoy and throw yourself into worlds that you kind of don't. And that's just not me. Like, I didn't play Among Us on the channel because I'm just really bad at it, and I don't actually find it fun. I don't like games like that because I don't like lying. I'm a bad liar. And that basically meant when I tried to play Among Us with my friends, it never worked. But what will happen is, like, you can actually see it on the channel. I'll just stop playing it if I'm really just not feeling it. And some games I fall in and out of love with. Like, sometimes I just want to record Star Stable for, like, weeks, and sometimes I'm just not feeling it for a couple weeks. Sometimes I love Sims, and sometimes I'm just like, nah, not today. So I do back off of series, and I'll just stop putting it out. Usually because I just wasn't feeling it will be the reason I'll stop a series more than anything. But sometimes it'll be because it just was really underperforming, and sometimes it'll be because the game was really bad. There have been, like, there was this cat game that was on Steam that was just really, like, unfinished and shouldn't have been released, that I stopped playing even though it looked really cool. And then any of the Harvest Moons, the number one, not the good Harvest Moons, the old Harvest Moons, the number one game I ever stopped playing on the channel and just walked away from shaking my head was one of the Natsume Harvest Moons, after they got the name Harvest Moon, but they definitely don't have the spirit. And I started playing it and I was really excited because it was, like, I think one of the very first Natsume games where they had the Harvest Moon name, but they had different developers, and it was so bad, you guys. It was so bad. It didn't have any of the Harvest Moon charm. It just felt like the graphics were awful. It felt like a really bad mobile game, and I cannot, in good conscience, recommend any of the Natsume run Harvest Moons that have been produced since like the last 4 or 5 years for sure. And the new one that's coming out, I won't even look at it. I stick my nose up in the air. I refuse. So there have been things like that where I'll stop recording. More often, if I suddenly stop recording something, this is really embarrassing to admit, it might be because somebody left a really mean comment. That happened on Horizon Zero Dawn. That happened on City Skylines. That happened on, gosh, there's a few other games where there was just like a really mean comment that got under my skin and in my head. And that happened with Warrior Cats, the Sims 3 stuff, and like the death threats, the literal death threats I was getting to my PO box and in my email. And I was just like, I physically, mentally cannot bring my brain to wrap myself around this creative effort anymore. So if I do suddenly stop a series, there's usually a lot of complex reasons. I may just be exhausted and have to pick the most popular series to make sure I can like eat and pay my rent that month. And I just don't have the energy for something like a bigger roleplay series. A few times I have lost the save files for games, and it always feels really surreal when that happens, but errors and glitches in games do happen. That happened a few times with Niche. That happened with some of my older Wolf Quest episodes when my old computer caught on fire. Thank goodness for cloud saves for like other games for sure. So really, if I don't like a game, I'll just stop and walk away. But I usually will find something to enjoy about any game. Even some of the mobile games like Wildcraft. I actually think Wildcraft is kind of fun. I get a little kick out of it because my niece really loves it. So I can find really random reasons to really love games that other people might roll their eyes at. Like, look at me, I'm plucking up flowers from the dirt. But usually I'll carry on. But alright, I think I have carried on actually too long. Holy cow, you guys. Keep your questions coming over in our Patreon Discord patrons and Twitch subscribers. And also in the comments section, because you might inspire one of our members to go ahead and suggest some of your comments. And we're going to finish off on Traveling Times, asking what is my favorite thing to do in my free time, and is there any language in particular that I would like to learn? I will answer the last question first. I would love to learn more Japanese so that I can help out Chips when we travel Japan. I don't want to put all of the onus of having to know the language when we travel on him. But I would love to learn more Japanese so that I could read more poetry, some more old Japanese poetry as well, because I find a lot of Japanese and Chinese poetry from different eras just to be really evocative of a love of nature and an insight into how emotions are wrapped into nature. My husband's getting his PhD in studying such things, so we might talk a lot about poetry and ancient history in our house from Asian cultures in particular. But I would want that so I could help him when we travel. And it'd be cool to know Chinese, but I also know how hard it is to learn Chinese. So that's not the first language that comes to mind. And I would also love to learn Hawaiian. My sister is actually reaching deep into our Hawaiian roots and really learning a lot of the Hawaiian language. And so on a personal level, it would mean a lot to be able to understand more of my own culture through learning more about the language. And then on the other question, what do I do in my free time? Oh dear. I can hear some of our patrons like rattling their sabers, you might say, or like shaking their fists and being like, Siri? Because I am notorious for not having free time. I work so much, but I love our adventures that we have. And I have gotten so much better since I have gotten married, believe it or not, at having free time. Because I want to spend time with the love of my life and my husband. And I didn't think things would change when Chips and I got married, but they really, really did. They really did, and I really felt the importance of showing up for the family that I not only built through love, but then like legally, I was like, yeah, this is it. The rest of my life, it's gonna be this guy. And that really helped me reprioritize away from the hustle and grind culture that so many of us in this day and age feel trapped in just so that we can try to survive, and go, look, the most important thing that I could have here is my love story with Chips, is the love story we're building out of our life. Yes, it's kind of scary wondering like, oh, but if I have this thing, because I grew up really poor and my family still struggles with like the basics of like having food and fresh fruit. Like I never ate an avocado till I was 23. and moved in with my aunt to be her live-in nanny. I had never eaten a mango till I was 23, same thing. Or a bell pepper, because those are expensive. So I had never had those. And I will never ever forget the first time I went grocery shopping with my aunt and she put Ziploc bags into the cart. I freaked out because Ziploc bags are so expensive. Like, I was really scared about her spending all of like her money so we wouldn't have enough money to eat because she was buying Ziploc bags. You don't do that. You use your old Ziploc bags. Yeah, like, you don't get disposable stuff like that. It scared me. Like, that's what I grew up like. So the idea of not working if you have the capability to work was really hard for me to wrap my head around until I fell in love. And I realized how absolutely, vitally, amazingly important it is to show up for your family. And so lately, Chips and I have been playing games together in my free time. Lately, we have been reading books side by side. He will read some of his academic text for his PhD, and I have been devouring some of the nonfiction books, like about that gut bacteria, and the fantasy books that I want to read. I think I've read like 24 books since the start of the year, so I have been devouring books. I'm currently reading Grey Sister, the follow-up to Red Sister, the follow-up to having finished another series by the same author, The Red Queen's War, which is now one of my favorite anti-hero fantasy stories ever. So we've been reading a lot side by side together. We're excited for spring because we're going to redo our deck. We just have like a little tiny porch on the third story of our apartment, but we're going to put like some pretty lights up and get some ferns to hang up and just make it look nice with like nicer bird feeders. So spending time with my husband. Cooking, we love, love, love cooking together. I'm gonna try to make some baked peanut tofu with fresh bok choy for dinner tonight. And what else do I do in my free time? Lately I listen to a lot of podcasts and I do a lot of indoor biking on my indoor bike that I have so that I can try to like take care of my health. We love going bird watching. Hey Robin, speaking of birds. And we love going on hikes together. Honestly, guys, the truth of it is, in my free time, I'm probably at Chips' side. The other day, a cute neighbor just called out to us randomly, and she was like, I always see you guys together. It's so sweet. That's because Chips and I go everywhere together. We both work from home. We are together all day long, and I am so grateful. Many days, I will actually finish whatever work I'm doing, and I will look around myself, and you know, less awesome than being able to play video games every day is the fact that I get to be by his side every day. Like, that's how in love with him I am. So in my free time, I'm probably hanging out with Chips, and we're really good at doing stuff together where we're trying to grow and become even better humans. So, all right, there's a whole heckin' ramble. There are more questions piled up in the Q&A area. I have definitely talked for longer than I meant to, and can you guys believe we still have so many flowers that we need to go ahead and pull up from these cliff sides? Oh my goodness. Well, that'll just be more questions to answer. But all right, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me on this silly adventure in my little rambling mind. Oh my gosh, the flowers have taken over my island! What is this? And if you guys would like to join us, oh, there's so many. Oh, we've got so many more questions I need to answer. If you guys would like to join us on this and literally thousands more adventures, do please consider subscribing. But most importantly, my friends, stay curious, and I will see you for more flower plucking next time. Bye-bye!